guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shelby and today I'm going to be doing my November TBR. As always, at the beginning of the month, I talk about 10 books that I would love to read in that particular month. These don't include any books for special videos or readathons. They are just random books I would like to get read this month. I have a cute little spread in my bullet journal that talks about all the books I want to read and I get to check them off as I complete them, which is super satisfying for me and it makes me really motivated to read the books on my TBR. I did pretty good in October. I read 7 out of the 10 books that I put in my TBR video, which is pretty decent considering how busy I was and how many readathons I participated in. So I'm hoping that I can get to all of these. Some of them are arcs and some of them are just backlist titles. The first is an arc I have off of NetGalley. It comes out in December and that is Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. I am so excited to read this book. It is a YA novel, so that's usually not my wheelhouse, but I've heard it's a really good story about family dynamics as well as possibly a second chance romance. That sounds right up my alley, so I'm really excited to get to it. The next one is one that was gifted to me by my friend Kendra over at Kendra Loves Books, and I think we are going to do a buddy read of this. I am so excited, and that is What the Wind Knows by Amy Harmon, and this is a time travel romance historical fiction book. That sounds really intriguing. I think it's about a woman who she travels back in time to when it was her grandfather's era. I think he's recently passed away and she travels back in time to kind of get to know who he was. And while she's back in time, I think she has a romance and falls in love with someone. And she has to decide if she wants to stay in that time period or come back to reality. And that sounds really intriguing. And I hope that Kendra and I both love this one. The next one I have is Unspoken by Kelly Rimmer. This one I believe comes out in November. And it is the second book in the Startup in the City series. I really loved the first book in this series. And I don't know the premise of this one, but I love Kelly Rimmer's writing. She writes across a variety of genres. And I think she does really well writing romances. So I'm really excited to read this one. The next one I have is The Return by Rachel Harrison. I got this as an arc off of Edelweiss, and this one I believe is a YA horror. And like I said earlier, YA books aren't usually my thing, but it sounded really good and I'm really excited to read it. I kind of forget what the premise was, but I kind of want to go in blind just so I can be a little more surprised and hoping that I don't guess the twists and turns. And the cover of this looks really good and I think it comes out sometime in 2020. The next book I want to read is off of Kindle Unlimited and it's called Team Player. This is a collection of short stories by a variety of romance authors. I think some of them are spin-off novellas of some series that they already have, and I think they are all sports romances, and some of them I think are spin-offs of series I've read, so I'm really excited to get to it. They just came out with Team Player 2 and I don't want to read that until I read the first one, so I want to make it a priority to get to this one. The next book I have to read is The Other Mrs. Miller by Allison Dixon, and this is going to be our Thriller Talks After Dark pick for the month of November, so yay, I am so excited for this one. I really enjoyed our October pick, so I have high hopes that I'm going to love our November pick. And I know this is some type of domestic thriller, and I don't want to know much else. I want to go in blind. If you guys don't know, Thriller Talks After Dark is a monthly read-along that Kendra over at Kendra Loves Books, Jackie over at Weeby Bookin', and myself all host together. It's where we read one thriller book a month, and at the end of the month we have a live show discussion of it. So I'm really excited for this one. Once we get all the details hammered out for that live show, we will definitely update you guys on our Instagrams. So be sure to follow our Instagram so you can see when that'll be, where it'll be. It's going to be on one of our YouTube channels, but like I said, we will update you guys on that at a later time. The next book I want to read is If Only I Could Tell by Hannah Beckerman. This book was sent to me by my friend Heather. This book is compared to the show This Is Us, which I love that show and it makes me cry a lot. So I'm kind of in the mood for an emotional read, so I'm hoping that this one will give me all the feels. I've heard it's a very heavy and kind of almost dark contemporary. I know it deals with the triggers of miscarriage and infertility, which is something near and dear to my heart. I have experienced both. And so it might be a little bit difficult to read, but I think probably important as well. So I'm hoping to fit it in this month. The next book is The Last Affair by Margot Hunt, and this one doesn't come out until the end of the month, I think like the 26th or something, and I pre-ordered this one and I am so excited to read it because if you guys know, I love For Better and Worse by Margot Hunt. It was one of my favorite domestic thrillers this year. I don't remember the premise, I don't really want to find out, and I just want to go in blind and enjoy the ride. The next book I want to read is Top Secret by Serena Bowen and Elle Kennedy. This was sent to me by Brandy. You guys have already heard me talk about the Him and Us duet several times, which is also by this author duo, and it's a male-male romance duet, and this is a standalone male-male romance and it sounds so good. I know my friend Kendra read it and she loved it, and so I'm really excited to get to it, and I'm hoping I love it just as much as the Him and Us duet. The last one I want to read is Mr. Nobody by Catherine Steadman. I read Something in the Water by Catherine Steadman a few months ago and I thought it was okay, but when this one popped up on NetGalley to request, I just had to request it because it sounded really good at the time when I read the little blurb, and the cover was really good looking. I think it's so pretty. And I can't help myself, when I see a pretty cover, I cannot help but want to read it. I don't know what it's about, but I think it comes out early next year and I'm really excited to read it. So these are all the books I'd like to read in the month of November. I'd love to hear if you've read any of them or if you want to read any of them. I will link them all down below and I will see you guys on my next one. Bye.